What's on guys, we're back with a brand new video, and in today's video we're going to be going over the leading goal kickers for every single AFL team that I predict. Now I want you guys to predict your club down below, or if you want to do other clubs, feel free after you see my list at the end of the video. So make sure to watch the whole video to see every single team. But before we get into this video, make sure to drop a like on this video. Let's try to hit 30 likes, and also subscribe because I upload daily AFL content. So if you like that, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, because we are 24 subscribers away from 400 subscribers. So please subscribe. Let's try to hit that by the end of the week. So without further ado, let's hop straight into the video. Now, first up we do have Adelaide, and I've gone with Shane McAdams. Now, Shane McAdams is my prediction for Adelaide's breakout player, and I don't think Tex Walker will be that great next year. I feel like he might take another step back like he did this year. He did finish, I'm pretty sure he finished second in their goal kicking, so I predict him to kick around 25 to 30 goals. Adelaide won't be too great next year, so I feel like there's a good range for Shane McAdams. Next up for Brisbane, I've gone with Joe Danaher. Now Joe Danaher, obviously they need to recruit. Eric Hipwood's another guy that could probably have a chance to lead their goal kicking, but I predict Joe Danaher to stay healthy the whole year, return back to his 2017 form when he was an All-Australian, and yeah, I can predict him to kick around 50 to 55 goals. Next up for Carlton, I've gone with Harry Mackay. Now Harry Mackay, everyone rates this bloke and thinks he's going to have a great year. Apparently he kicked 6 in a practice match a couple of days ago, which is a great sign for hopefully things to come for Harry Mackay. Predict him to kick around 35 to 40 goals. You guys are probably thinking that's a bit low for Harry Mackay, but I kind of feel like that he's never really kicked over 30 goals in his career ever, so I don't think that I can predict him to kick too many and have an absolute great year, but I do predict him to kick 35 to 40 goals, and I won't be surprised if he does kick like 45 plus. Next up for Collingwood, I've gone with Jordan De Goey. Now, I feel like Jordan De Goey will return back to his 2018 form this year with a lot of talent leaving the club. I feel like they will just leave Jordan De Goey to kind of have a breakout year. I think he will play a bit of midfield, but I still predict him to kick 35 to 40 goals and playing primarily forward. Next up for Essendon, I've gone with 2-meter Peter Wright. I predict him to kick around 25 to 30 goals, and you guys are probably thinking that's very, very low for Peter Wright. But fun fact, his career high in a season for goals was 22, so I don't see how I can predict him to go anymore, but I do think he'll be more around the 30 range than the 25 range. And I feel like Essendon will have a big group of goal kickers, not just one guy that kicks most of their goals, which is why I have him around 25 to 30 goals. The next up for Fremantle, I've gone with Matt Taberner. Now this one's a pretty clear choice because they don't really have too many great goal kickers on their team. Probably the only other guy that I'm probably missing out is Michael Walters, but I do feel like that Matt Taberner, after having a very, very good 2020 and having finally his breakout year in his career, where I reckon he probably would have kicked around 45 to 50 goals if it was a standalone season. He did end up kicking 30 plus, I'm pretty sure. So he's on track, and I feel like if Fremantle want to be any good in 2021, it'll be off a Matt Taberner kicking around 45 to 50 goals. Now next up for Geelong, this could be a 50-50 for who you want to pick here, but I've picked Tom Hawkins. Obviously the other contender is Jeremy Cameron, but I feel like they'll pick Tom Hawkins to be like the guy that is always one out in the square and doesn't play too far up the ground apart from when he goes into the ruck. And so I do predict him to kick 50 to 55 goals. You probably think he could kick a bit more, but I feel like with Jeremy Cameron at the club now, his goals per game will go down a bit since he has to share it with another key forward like he didn't this year. Next up for Gold Coast, I've gone with Ben King. I predict Ben King to have a very, very good year because I think Gold Coast will be a little bit better than they were this year, especially with Matt Rowell like playing a lot more if he doesn't get injured like he did the year before. But I feel like, and also Elijah Hollins is there, so I feel like this is the year he'll get better delivery inside 50. They also added Roy Atkins, which is a very good wingman and kick of the footy that will kick it to him. So I feel like about 40 to 45 goals is a good mark for Ben King. Next up for GWS, I've gone with Toby Green. Now, Toby Green, I feel like we'll go into a different level because I don't think he'll play too much midfield this year, and I feel like he'll be mainly stay to the goals, especially with Jeremy Cameron leaving now, that this could free up Toby Green to kick bags every week. I wonder what he's going to do. I do think this man probably will be an All-Australian small forward this year. I finally feel like he'll have a full season, return to his career best form. We saw him kick 4 against Richmond at some stage. I think he kicked 4 against Collingwood also, which are very, very good defences. So I feel like when he stays healthy and he's not suspended, that he could kick around 35 to 40 goals for GWS this season. Now next up for Hawthorn, I've gone with Jack Gunston. Now Jack Gunston, I think he kicked around 30 goals this year, so I predicted him to kick around 35 to 40, simply because I feel like he'll take not a step back, but he'll try to get the young fellas involved. They are going to a rebuild. So Mitch Lewis, I feel like will kick a few goals. I don't know if John Patton's coming back, but he'll kick a few goals if he's back. And it'll take a little bit of a load off Jack Gunston with some other key forwards coming up. Tim O'Brien, if you want to put him in that conversation. So yeah, next up for the Melbourne Football Club, I've gone with Ben Brown. Now Ben Brown, pretty clear choice here. Sam Wiedemann's generally bloke that could probably take that role also, but Sam Wiedemann did get injured. I know that Ben Brown has knee surgery, but he is still a possibility to play round 1. He probably returned round 2, but I still do believe that he could kick around 55 to 60 goals this year. That's how dangerous this man is, and he's kicked 60 goals back to back years before last season. So I feel like 60 goals is a good mark for him, but I feel like he will kick around more about 50 to 55 goals, but I still have to put the 60 goals mark there. Next up for North Melbourne, this is kind of a weird one, but I've gone with Cam Zurhaar. Now Cam Zurhaar is almost like plays like Jordan De Goey, so I feel like his ability to stay near the goals, he won't play midfield this year I don't think, unless they've never talked about that, so I feel like he'll play more as a mini full forward, like Tom Papley kind of did this year. Jordan De Goey's done in the past. Dustin Martin does it sometimes. And another guy that could be here is Nick Larkey, but I do back in Cam Zurhaar more than Nick Larkey. Next up for Port Adelaide, a pretty clear choice here, which is Charlie Dixon. Charlie Dixon coming off a career best year for Port Adelaide. I expect Port Adelaide to be around the mark that they were last year too. So no reason why the Charlie Dixon can't kick around 55 to 60 goals next year, because to be honest, like he's their main scoring option. He's kind of plays like how Tom Hawkins did last year, and I feel like if this man did kick straight last year, he could already have a Coleman medal by now. Next up for the Richmond Football Club, I've gone with Tom Lynch. Now Tom Lynch, I feel like we'll go into the number 1 spot. I feel like it was still a bit of Jack Riewoldt being the number 1 man last year, because Jack Riewoldt did lead their goal kickers last year, but I feel like Tom Lynch, it's his time to come into the number 1 position. He's kicked 70 goals in a season before, Tom Lynch. So I expect him to kick around 50 to 55 goals. I'm not giving him that 60 goal mark simply because I feel like that Jack Riewoldt will still be around the mark. He'll still kick. Jack Riewoldt will probably kick around 30 goals to 35 goals next year. So obviously they'll take a bit of responsibility away from Tom Lynch. Now next up I do have St Kilda, and I've gone with Max King. Now Dan Butler was the leading goal kicker last year, but I feel like that this is the year that Max King, he's put on some size in the training in the preseason, as it's been on the news, right? I reckon about 5 to 6 times that I've seen it on 7 News. So I feel like Max King can kick around 45 to 40 goals. I put him at the same mark as his brother because they seem to do identical things as them being identical twins. So I feel like they'll kick around the same amount of goals as 40 to 45 goals next season. Now next up for Sydney, I've gone with Tom Papley. Now I almost put Buddy Franklin down here, but after Buddy Franklin got another injury in the preseason, I don't know how many games he'll play next year, so I'm going to back in Tom Papley to get around 30 to 40 goals, which will be a good mark that I feel like Tom Papley could hit. Now next up for West Coast, I've gone Jack Darling. Now Jack Darling in 2018 had a year where Josh Kennedy got injured and then ended up kicking 50 goals that year. So I predict that Josh Kennedy won't get injured this year, but I do think Josh Kennedy will take a step back and that Jack Darling will kick around 45 to 50 goals and return to his 2018 form when he was the number 1 man. Now next up, and the last team on this list, which is the Western Bulldogs, I've gone with Aaron Norton. Now the other player you could put here is like Josh Bruce or Mitch Wallace. He did win it last year. I don't back in Josh Bruce enough. Mitch Wallace, I feel like just had to take the #1 kind of hole in the forward line because of how bad their key forwards were performing, and Aaron Norton was injured last year. But I feel like Aaron Norton can kick around 40 to 45 goals. I don't know how healthy he'll be next year. It all depends on his health. But I do think that's a pretty good mark for Aaron Norton going into next year. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to drop a like on this video. We're 24 subscribers away from 400, so make sure to drop a subscribe. We'll upload daily AFL videos 4 PM every single day. So thanks for watching.